Hey everyone, the goal for this video is so that you can know what is periodization and why does it matter. Periodization is easily defined as structured periods of training followed by rest. More specifically, in football, periodization is focused on developing the team's ability to perform the football actions required in the game model, more often and for longer. This is done through proper training to always arrive at match day with your best and freshest 11. While there are many ways to periodize training, I believe that Raymond Verheyen laid out the best principle-based model in his book, Football Periodization. I'll put a link in the description to his store for anyone interested in picking this book up. As a starting point after this video, my hope is that you can plug in your last game and your next game and use the principles defined here for a training roadmap. So, what are the principles? Principle 1 is match day, recovery day, and then an off day. Principle 2 is a 2-day taper into the next match day. Principle 3 is an off day followed by a re-entry day and an overload. Lastly, Principle 4 is an overload day followed by a recovery day or an off day on any weeks that are irregular or longer than 7 days. Now, let's use these 4 principles to lay out a very general outline of the training week, no matter how many days are between games. Let's take a closer look at each day. Principle 1 in microcycle planning is concerning the recovery window following a game. This 48-hour period after a game is incredibly important for the players to recover before they resume the training week. A football recovery session can include extensive football exercises, otherwise defined as exercises that have less actions per minute. This is to reduce the amount of explosive actions required from each player. Great examples of this would be extensive passing exercises, technical or recovery circuits, or even a rondo in a very small space to limit the amount of reaching for the ball. One note on this principle is the order of the recovery day and the off day. Ideally for the body, the recovery training comes within 24 hours of the game, and the off day would follow this. But there is a lot more to be worried about than just the body. This decision can be influenced by match congestion, players' physical or emotional state, maybe even the result of the match, what time the match was played, if it affects their sleep, and countless others. Taking in all of this information can best help to make the decision on each week. Principle 2 is focused on the physical taper into the match day. This is accomplished most commonly with a tactical day on the match day -2, and then a short, sharp, reactive session on the match day -1. Without getting into too much detail for this video, we will have videos dedicated to each of these days. Match day -2 is characterized by shorter blocks of football, with the coach encouraged to stop the players and intervene with really specific information for the upcoming match. This day should at most be 50% of the match load as far as physical outputs. Match day -1 training should follow this same trend by further reducing the length of play as well as the total volume. These are great days to overload decision-making and execution with rondos and small-sided games to goal. Many coaches will also use this day to deliver any last information for the upcoming opponent. Principle 3 is a look into the bulk of the training week. The first day is called the re-entry day and is used to restart the engine, focusing on technical aspects of training and should include very few maximal actions. This reintroduction to football actions is used to prepare the mind and the body for more demanding overload session on the following day. This overload day, or football conditioning training, is used to push specific football fitness qualities. The blocks of training should be coached within the flow as to not stop the session with multiple breaks. The goal is normally to maintain many football actions over longer periods. Depending on the periodization, this could be a session focused on 11v11, or it could cycle between different numbers depending on the week. This is up to you. The last principle helps inform our training on weeks with 7 or 8 days between matches. The previous principles still apply. For example, after a match day, you still use Principle 1. Leading into the next match day, you'll still apply Principle 2 in order to taper. And lastly, Principle 3, we apply a re-entry day and an overload day following the off day. As you can see here though, on a week with 7 or 8 days between matches, this leaves us with 2 days. Here is where we apply Principle 4. Following the overload session, we can apply a recovery session or an off day to allow for greater recovery and break up a lead-in into the match day. Now, let's elaborate on the above examples across different game weeks and adding a bit more of the art of coaching into the principles. We have already gone through our 7 and 8 day between match days, so let's go down to a traditional week of 6 days between matches. This is by far the easiest one and where the principles fit the most flawlessly. Using Principle 1, we can see how from the first match day we apply the recovery training and then the off day. Using Principle 2, we apply the 2-day taper into the next match day. And then lastly, using Principle 3, we have the re-entry day and overload day following the off day. This completes the week. From here, we can get a little bit more complicated and talk about 5 days between matches. Again, let's apply Principles 1 and 2. As we can see, this only leaves us with 1 day. This is where the art of coaching comes in. Taking a look across the team, the outputs, the upcoming weeks, this is where a lot of adjustments can and should be made. 2 of my most used options include option 1, where you switch the recovery day and the off day. You use the match day plus 2 recovery session as a little restart the engine, leading into the overload for the week. On shortened weeks like this, I highly recommend slightly reducing the overload or applying a hybrid re-entry overload day. Option 2 would be to only apply or restart the engine day after the off day. This means that there will be no overload for this week and that it will be a null week as far as increasing football fitness. This is a great option when prioritizing freshness, but if too many of these are put back to back, you run the risk of deconditioning the group. We are now at 4 days between sessions. This is again much cleaner as Principle 1 and 2 take care of all the days. Recovery window followed by 2 tactical days leading into a next match day will complete the week. With 3 days, we again have some decisions to make. This is where the art comes in. If the first match day had a really high physical cost, we could decide to provide the normal recovery window, leading to only 1 day of tactical training before the next match. Another option would be prioritizing Principle 2 and giving 2 tactical sessions following an off or recovery day. There is no right answer here, just what is right for your situation. You have to make the best decision. Thank you all for watching this video. My hope is that you now have the building blocks to make better decisions in periodization. If this type of info has helped you in any way, be sure to hit the subscribe button and share with colleagues, coaches, or other medical and performance staffs. Stay tuned for more info on periodization, return to play, strength training, and much more coming soon. Thanks for watching.